So every team now has played 12 games in this 2013 NFL season. Everybody's got 4 games left to go. We're entering that home stretch, the last quarter of the regular season. Now it's about playoff positioning. It's about jockeying for home games, first round buys, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. This is when the regular season really starts to get interesting for the next few weeks, especially to another level for any of you like me that play fantasy football. But looking back at week number 13 of this 2013 NFL season, we learned a lot of things, I do believe. First and foremost is that, a lot of times with Thanksgiving football, the games aren't always the best, but it's still great to be able to watch Thanksgiving football. Now, the Lions decimated the Packers, and you could clearly see just how valuable Aaron Rodgers is to Green Bay because without him, they're lost. They are just a bad football team without their franchise quarterback, and that's just the way it is. The Detroit Lions handled their business, they looked impressive, and they beat up on an overwhelmed and undermatched opponent. You look at the Cowboys and the Raiders, that was a very character building victory for the Dallas Cowboys to be able to struggle against the Raiders early and then really be able to turn it on at home in the second half and keep pace in the NFC East and now go to 7-5 heading into their Monday night matchup against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. The Cowboys showed me something. They showed me some character and some heart. Yeah, the Raiders are the Raiders. They're not the greatest team in the world, but they didn't exactly start the game off strong. And to be able to play like they did in the second half really says something about that team. And then the great matchup, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night game on NBC. Obviously, the best game of the three. Everybody's going to talk about the fact that Mike Tomlin got on the field. How could he not know? Did he know? Didn't he know? And all this other shit. It still takes away from what was a very physical, very good, typical AFC North matchup between the Steelers and Ravens. Now, the Ravens winning that game, being able to go up to 6-6, the Steelers losing and falling down to 5-7, that really helps the Ravens in terms of their playoff positioning, trying to battle it out for that sixth and final spot in the AFC playoff picture. And even with the loss, the Steelers aren't necessarily out of it. But after that 0-4 start, they were at 5-6 heading into the Thursday night game. A win there would have been absolutely huge, and it almost would have made the Pittsburgh Steelers a team that nobody really wanted to play because after an 0-4 start, they would have went 6-2. That's a hot football team right there. What else did we learn in week number 13? Excuse me. We learned that the Chicago Bears are not a playoff team. They can't stop anybody's running game, and they found a way to lose a game that they should have won. Now, some of you are going to sit there and say, well, they'll maybe get Cutler back in week 14 against Dallas. No, it doesn't matter. Cutler's not any better than Josh McCown, no matter how much the media tries to tell you, oh, his arm strength, you can throw the ball deeper, stretch the field. Looked like Josh McCown had no problem stretching the field vertically in the passing game on Sunday. And the one thing Josh McCown doesn't do that Jay Cutler loves to do is turn the ball over. The Bears are done. I've come to grips with it. There's just really no realistic path for the Chicago Bears with 4 games left in the season to be able to sneak into the wild card picture. You got teams like the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers ahead of them in the standings in the wild card race. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles ahead of them in the wild card race. You've got the Carolina Panthers ahead of them in the wild card race. It's just not happening. And that's the worst thing you could be as a mediocre football team. We found out that the Carolina Panthers are the hottest team in professional football right now. They won yet again. They've won 8 games in a row after starting off 1-3. I really like this team. I said before the season that I thought they were going to win the NFC South, and I still stand by that pick, especially after what I saw Monday night from the Saints. The bottom line is the Panthers play a really good brand of football. They play great unheralded defense, and they run the ball very well. And if Cam Newton can give them any type of big plays and consistency in the passing game, watch out for the Panthers. They're the most likely team to really give the Seattle Seahawks all they can handle in the NFC side of things. It's clear to me at this point, and I don't see how it can't be clear to anybody else. It's not the 49ers, it's not the Lions, it's not the Saints, it's the Panthers. They're the biggest threat to the Seattle Seahawks right now, period. And I still think the Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South. We also found out that the 49ers are finding ways to win football games. They still don't impress me very much, especially on the offensive side of the football. But they're doing enough. They're finding ways to win. They're getting the job done. And they looked impressive against the Rams on Sunday. I can't really dismiss what they did, period. You had the Colts find a way to win against the Titans. That was a nice, important victory for them because there have been a couple of games here where the Colts just flat out haven't looked good at all. They look just a little bit better against the Titans. It's kind of one of these things where they'll win the division, but then probably not really a threat to do any damage once they get to the playoffs, although you never know. This is a team that also beat the Seahawks and the Broncos earlier on in the year, so there is that potential there, but they're a much different team without Reggie Wayne, and I think everybody knows that and understands that. As far as the Monday night game, though, that's probably the big story of the week. I know a lot of you are going to talk about the Chiefs and Broncos. Look, here's what I saw out of the Chiefs and Broncos on Sunday afternoon. The Chiefs are who I thought they were, a team that's going to win 11 games or so, be a wild card team, and get bounced early in the playoffs. You just can't hide your quarterback, and that's what they are. They're just not good enough. They're a great story. They've had a very good year. But now they've started to play some people, and they've lost 3 games in a row after starting off 9-0. And to me, the Denver Broncos, I look at them, and I also say, this is a team that's not winning the Super Bowl. And if you want to sit there and say, stop with the Peyton Manning hate, stop with all this other bullshit, let me ask you something. Do you realize where the Super Bowl is in February? So even if you say you don't really see anybody being able to beat the Broncos in the AFC playoffs, I think you're wrong, but let's assume you're right for a second. Do you really anticipate Peyton Manning and that Broncos offense having any type of success at all in New York at MetLife Stadium in February in the Super Bowl when it could be very cold and or very snowy? Playing a team maybe like the Seahawks or the Panthers? No, I didn't fucking think so. But even when you look at the Broncos, this is a team that went down 21-7. The thing that concerns me the most about the Broncos, if you're somebody that views them as being a Super Bowl contender, is how much of a contender are they when they seem to have, on several occasions this year, allowed teams to get out there and get leads on them before they reeled them in and those other teams started to falter. When you get to the playoffs and maybe you're playing a team, let's say like the New England Patriots, they gave you a 24-0 lead and you found a way to piss it down your legs and lose any damn ways. You really think the New England Patriots, if you spot them, a 14-point lead is going to allow you to reel them back in and you'll be able to beat them? No, somebody's going to get you. Somebody's going to have your number come the playoffs. But we do know that the Chiefs aren't doing a damn thing, period. We also know that the Seattle Seahawks are the best, most complete football team in the National Football League. And if anybody had any doubts of that, this game on Monday night proved it. You could say 12th man, you could say this, you could say that, but the bottom line is you look at the Seahawks defensively. They've got great talent all along their front four. They've got great talent in their linebacking core, and they've got great talent still in their secondary, even without Browner and even without Thurman. And they showed that against a high-powered, explosive passing attack from Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. That defense dominated the game, absolutely dominated. And then you go to the offensive side of the football. They lost Sidney Rice. They don't have Percy Harvin right now. And they're still finding a way to put up points. Their running game is outstanding with Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is the type of quarterback you can win a Super Bowl with because he's very smart, takes care of the football. And unlike certain players like a Peyton Manning, I would actually rely on Russell Wilson to be able to make big plays in big-time spots and win big-time games. Russell Wilson is a quarterback you can win a Super Bowl with, and I believe more likely than not that this may be the year that he does it, because it's going to be very, very hard for anybody outside of maybe the Carolina Panthers to be able to go to Quest Field, overcome the 12th man, overcome playing in Seattle, and be able to beat this loaded Seahawks team, absolutely loaded team. Let me know what you thought of week number 13, what you think of your teams or some other teams out there, some of the things I've said about the Chiefs or the Broncos or the Seahawks or the Panthers or the Saints or what have you. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Got 4 weeks left of the regular season. My team's done. They are, period. But hey, there's still a lot of great football left to be played.